So we knew from last time that we were pretty much safe, and we actually ended up beating my points target by 2 points by the end, 47 points for the season, which was massively improved, and we ended up finishing 11th. So we were top of the bottom half, which I think is a really, really good achievement for our first season back. Admittedly, our second season in the league, but we did have a year out after getting relegated just in the previous campaign in Serie B. So big, big improvement. But now I want to try and make an assault on those playoff places for next year. And here we are. We will start with a bit of the historical look back before we go on to our season review. Drago is now the goalkeeper for the best 11, which is an interesting development. I wasn't really expecting to see that, at least not yet. Yeah, I think it's probably fair, actually. You look at that rating, I think that's probably what you'd expect. Yeah, I think well done to him, is all we can say. And we look through this team now, and it's starting to become a team of proper legends. We've got Drago, Di Marco, who played very, very well for a long, long time for us. Colucci's there. We've got Riella and Gioldi. Gioldi in particular, they're a really, really good player for us. And then Castellucci, although he should be up front, really. Rolla, Brigliadori and Castelli, which does make sense. There are a couple of players who may well come in there, I think, over the next few years. But for now, that seems to make a lot of sense. So the initial budget's not a lot, is the first thing to say, because we are in a lot of financial peril. We're currently spending 2.9. Most of that will be spent next year, and that is about our budget. So that 67,000 budget, it's not. We really need to spend that on wages mostly. We will obviously be making or looking to make some profit from the transfer market anyway, so that hopefully will improve things. I'm seeing this before you do, and I'm seeing something very exciting. I'm seeing something very, very exciting. Board are planning a new stadium again. They did think about it before, but it didn't happen. So hopefully that's something that could be on the market. We do need to sell some players before we buy. That's fair enough. Working within the wage budget is a bit of an issue. We need to be defensively solid and play counter-attacking football. I think next season we're going to be looking at just maintaining our mid-table finish. Maybe pushing up a little bit, but I don't think we're going to be really thinking about pushing on hugely because we need to make sure that financial damage is repaired, at least to some extent. I'm not sure we'll be able to completely repair it, but I think we can avoid a relegation battle for sure. I mean, I'm optimistic we can probably do a little bit better than last season, but I'm certainly not looking at promotion particularly. If we can just squeeze into the playoffs, get a little bit of experience of them, then that would be nice, but I'm not really expecting us to win that. I'm going to go to Sicily because that's where we are. Might as well just spend some time in Sicily. It's a nice place anyway. But yeah, I think one of the things I'm going to try and do this season, I've already started to, is to just move a few players on for some money and replace them with similar kinds of players for no money. Even if it's on the same wages, those transfer fees then become an important part of what can keep us afloat over the next few years. We've got Cesarelli and Malaspina both going out. Hopefully I can replace them both for nothing with similar wages. If it's slightly more, it's fine because we've got that £410,000 windfall from selling them. And that's kind of going to be my strategy for the next couple of years, I think. Just sort of trying to sell players for a significant amount of money and replace them with the same kind of players for similar wages, but just trying to live off those transfer fees for a little while. If we have a look through the squad for this year, some of our key players, DRB has been pretty key for us. Would like to have seen him do a bit better, and he's one of the players that I might think about moving on because whilst he's been good, he's 29, nearly 30. We're paying him a fair bit. We might be able to get a bit of money for him, and he hasn't been brilliant. So I think he's one of the players that might be a little bit vulnerable to being moved on. There are a few of these actually. I mean, you can see a couple of them here who are doing the same thing. Drago, not impossible. I might decide to move him on, although he has been very, very good this season. But yeah, this is all about really what I can get in terms of getting the money in whilst trying to keep the quality of the squad decent on free transfers, and it will be pretty much free transfers only, I think. So yeah, those are the important players. Goals-wise, Petriccione, another midfielder, our top scorer, and it really does worry me that we've got no strikers scoring goals at all, really. Bolzan is our top scoring striker with 4 goals, and that's a real problem, and it's something I do need to sort out quite urgently, really. And a striker is pretty much the priority, I think, for this season. Castellucci is obviously a bit disappointing. And yeah, just not enough goals being scored, and that's why we were been languishing for a long time. And if you look at our goal difference, we've got a pretty poor goal difference. Not many teams with a worse goal difference than us, and that's because we're just not scoring enough goals. We may well be the lowest scorers in the league. In fact, are we 43? No, we're not quite, but there aren't many who scored fewer than us. We do need to sort that out, and we need to get some more goals in. So a goal scorer this season is a big priority, to try and find that player who can just improve on. Bolzan got 4 goals in 12 starts. It's not great. Castellucci obviously only got the 1 goal. We had who's the other striker we have? There was one. And Kona came in 3 goals in 11. It's not really good enough, and that's something I'm desperately going to try and improve on next year. So here you can see the top 5 appearance makers. Francesco Rolla overtaking Gioldi now at last. I thought he probably would, and today is the day he does that. He's been a little disappointing, if I'm honest, for such a promising young player when he first came in. He's not really fulfilled that potential that I thought he had, and it may actually be the year that we might move him on. It would make me very sad to do it, because he was the first proper regen we got through, and he was really impressive, and that's a shame. But I think it is probably time. On the other end of that scale, Gennaro Colucci, who's just joined that top 5, has been a lot better. He's certainly the success story of the generated players so far at this club. Didn't have his greatest season this season, but he's certainly still got a lot of potential. He's 21. He's still improving, and he should become even better. Whether he'll ever be a top-class centre-back in Serie B, I'm not sure. But certainly very good player at the moment, and has been so for several years now. On the goal side of things, you can see Filippo Gioldi is still miles and miles ahead of everyone else. Castellucci will end his run of loan spells with us now, I think. So he will not go any higher than 33. And Rolla, as I say, he may leave this season, and I can't imagine he's ever going to get much higher than 27. But we really need to find someone who can start shooting their way up here very quickly, because that has been the downfall for quite a while now. It's just that lack of really top class striker. Castellucci was that in Serie C, but he's not in Serie B, and I need to find someone who is. So that is very much the next step for this side, and will be our main focus in terms of transfers for this season. So far, Ralph Sommer is the person we've got in so far. I'm not convinced. I think he's probably a second choice. I think he'd be quite a good second choice. He's certainly got potential, but he's also only scored 7 goals in 67. So I think he'd be second choice. He's quite a good second choice, but he's only got 7 goals in 67. I don't really see him improving a huge amount. So a really top striker is something I'm really looking for now for the rest of this for this transfer window, which will start now. I will be back very shortly for the first little update of that. As I say, we've already got a few players coming in. A couple anyway, and Calzola shortly will be joining that, I'm sure. Calzola, a 23-year-old centre-back. Decent. My scouts really like him. I think he's probably going to be good for us. Not too expensive. The 100,000 is dependent on a few things, which are certainly not certainties. We've got Strali also coming in as well, but we've also got a couple of players going out for significant amounts of money, which is obviously something I'm going to need to continue to do. So I will be back shortly with an update on that. I'm definitely going to be looking for a striker still, but I might want to move 1 or 2 on as well. See you in a second. Right, big news. That stadium, it seems, is going ahead. Expensive stadium, capacity of 12,000, which, I mean, at the moment we are getting nowhere near that. We're getting, look at our home games, we're getting about 5,000 tops for home games. I think that, I'm assuming 5,000 must be the capacity. So they obviously think we can get more than double that in. Interesting decision that. It's only going to take us a year to build it as well, which is good news. It means that this time next year we'll be moving to our new stadium in the AC Zaffarana Stadium. It's something we probably needed to do to move forward. And doing it this early also means that there's a good chance that I might be able to get another stadium done at some point. We've still got probably 9 months, 10 months of this save left, and I'm going at a fairly good whack. So I'm hoping a second stadium might be in the offing, and that might be named after us, perhaps. That's something that obviously is way off into the future, but certainly a big thing that we need to be able to be doing to move ourselves forward. And they clearly think it's going to help us to push things forward money-wise in the future, even though in the short term there are obviously problems that we need to solve. But yeah, that's obviously very good long term, and hopefully that will allow us to really look forward and say, look, this is a club that's going places, and attract a few players of higher quality to come to us. I'll be back in a sec, hopefully with some news of a striker. So we have another significant out here, Giacomo Drago. He has been our first choice keeper this year, and he's been very good. But I just felt that the amount of money that we can get, £60,000, is not insignificant. He's on quite a big contract. I may well be able to find someone better and maybe younger. And even if it's on the same money, that 60,000 is another step in the right direction, and I think it probably is the right choice here. So Giacomo Drago is the next person out of the door. I will obviously be needing to replace him. That is one thing I can't not do. I need to make sure I have a goalkeeper of that kind of quality backing up next season. This guy might be the answer. I'm certainly going to be looking for that, and I will hopefully update you on that. But for the moment, Giacomo Drago is out of the door. Lovely little bug here. Jacopo Petriccioni has been named Serie B goalkeeper of the year because he didn't concede a single goal in 32 games. Now, that would be fine, except that, of course, he's not a goalkeeper, which is probably why he hasn't conceded a goal. So I don't know how that's happened, but somehow Jacopo Petriccioni has become the goalkeeper of the year. It does make me laugh. Football Manager has some strange and wonderful things. I haven't seen that one before, though. Right, and we have finally managed to get, because of that sale, we've managed to get enough money so that Luca Coccolo can come in as a centre-back. We desperately needed somebody. I'm not absolutely convinced, but we needed someone. We've got currently got no centre-backs really that I'm happy with. Pizzoni, he's not had a great season. It makes me think he's probably not quite ready to be this kind of player in terms of certainly not the first choice and probably first reserve at best. And Mattioli, there's some potential there, but he's not again. I mean, I'd say he's a fourth choice at best. So I probably need two centre backs. I've got one now in the shape of Luca Coccolo. Hopefully I can find a couple more. And here's a nice little thing which we haven't actually done before. We are the biggest overachievers in Serie B. It's the first time I've actually won that. I got the Steam achievement and everything. It's good to see. I've got Salernitana, Spezia and Vicenza coming up. No, they're going up, sorry. Pisa, Südtirol, Frosinone and Cremonese all getting relegated. Who is joining us? This is the way to check, isn't it? Here. So Seregno, I don't remember them. I'm not sure we played them before. Reggiana Bari, we've got a lot of history with them. And Lucchesi Libertas. There's at least one team there I don't think we've played before, which could be interesting. So that was more or less it. We basically ran out of money. We've got massive financial difficulties, as you can see here. We have sold players, made quite a big profit in the transfer market this window. It might be the biggest we've ever made, I'm not sure. And yeah, the money is just not there at the moment. And as you can see, it's not going to get better. Now, obviously, that's assuming we get no extra income, and we will. So I'm not massively worried. But the problem is, I don't think the squad's quite good enough to be the kind of place we want to be. I want to be certainly top half this year, if not pushing for that promotion spot. And I'm not sure we're quite at that point yet. But I guess the rest of this season will show. Given that we've had as few transfers as we have, I thought we'd have one little game to begin with. It's the Coppa Italia preliminary round, I think it is. And we will have that game now. But just quickly to run you through, we've got Ralph Sommer, who will play on the right. Fabian Straudi, central midfielder, looks quite decent. 29 years old, just really a bit of backup. Spent quite a lot of money on Lorenzo Calzola, who's a decent-looking centre-back, like the bravery. He's a pretty good physical player, and I think he should improve the central defence. Coccolo as well, a bit of experience back there. Probably back up, but he might play the odd game here and there. And then Mattia Landolfini in the central midfield, again, for a bit of backup. So at the moment, I've got, and I think Coccolo for Calzola will probably make more, Calzola will make more sense. That is my current first team. It will probably change. There obviously will be plenty of room for rotation and for changing my mind about certain players. But that is the team that I'm going to be going for, I think, for the majority of this season. Having said that, at least for now, and this may change, but at least for now, I think Giliberti is probably my first choice. He's obviously injured at the moment and therefore not in contention for today. I'm also not going to be playing Roller because he's injured. And so today we will go for Christian Anselmo, but Roller will be the first choice in that position for most of the season. The other player who may well come in at some point is Mattia Landolfini. Basically, it's a case of two of the three. got Volta, Petriccioni, and Landolfini, and two of them will play, but it may sort of switch between the two. Diaby and Bassett will also rotate a little bit, and we've got Straudi, who can cover in any of the central positions apart from striker. So basically, he's the first choice backup player for quite a few of those positions. The other player, obviously, who will probably feature a fair bit is Gennaro Colucci. I've decided to go for Pizzoni and Calzola for now, but that could change. So we've got options now that we didn't really have last year. We've got a little bit more depth. Whether we've quite got the quality, particularly in midfield, I'm not so sure. I'm not quite sure about Petriccioni starting, but at the moment, I don't feel like I've got anything better. Landolfini is probably the other player in that position at the moment, but I'm not convinced by him. Amara Kanate was very unconvincing last year. We'll have to see how things go, and I think that central midfield area is probably the area I feel most worried about. Hopefully that can change as the season goes on. We may well be looking for someone in January if we can find the money. That's a big if, though. I think we're going to be holding out for a bit of a takeover or something if that's going to be something we do. So we have the first round of the Copa, and this will be the first chance to see this team in action now. I'm going to hit the go button on the season. This is, in fact, my 400th game for Zaffarana, so thank you very much for the adulation on my milestone match. It's also the start of the 10th season at the club, so in the 10th season will be somewhere around 450, I imagine. Probably more like 440. So hopefully this will be a season of success to mark that 10-year thing. I don't really see us getting promoted this year, but I certainly could see us climbing the tables slightly. I think a couple of these signings have made the first team better. I'm not sure how good the depth is, so it will be kind of relying on not getting too many injuries, but it's something anyway. So we're off. The new season is underway, and Amu takes an Empoli. Obviously, Empoli. Petriccioni's given away a silly foul there. I was going to say Empoli being a Serie A side, it's going to be a tough game. And conceding an early penalty unnecessarily like that is not the best of starts. Esposito puts them 1-0 up, and that's not a great start to the season. Empoli actually finished 11th last year in Serie A, so they were certainly a decent team, more than a full league above us last year. But that's the kind of team in Serie A that you think, well, we could just give them a run for their money at least, and it's not looking that way at the moment as we go 2-0 down in just the 15th minute. And it's starting to look like a bit of a bust this. Not the greatest of starts, give them a bit of encouragement. It's not the end of the world if we lose this game. Coppa Italia is not hugely lucrative. In fact, until you get to the quarter-final of the competition, which I think is 3 or 4 rounds away, you only get £10,000 of appearance money in this competition. And the chances of us getting to the quarter-final are pretty much zero. So I'm not too bothered about losing this game. I would like to see us put up a little bit of a fight, though, and at the moment we're not really doing that. And Marcos Paulo makes it 3-0, and I think that is probably that. So I think we'll probably leave it there, because you know what's going to happen now. We are clearly going to be going out of the Coppa Italia, but we will be seeing you tomorrow. So hopefully you can join us for that, and we will hopefully have a good start to the league season tomorrow. We will be back for the very first game of the season, just to see that that cup defeat hasn't had too much of an effect on the side, and hopefully we can make a positive start. See you then. Bye for now.